Welcome everybody listening from all around the world, all around this beautiful blue-green planet we call Gaia. Welcome everybody listening here in Australia, this beautiful country of ours. Welcome to the Mystic Drop, where each week we try and journey down the road less traveled by, as the great Robert Frost once poetically put. I'm your host, Roberto Roya. Joining me today is Kornelija Velickovic.
Very close, very close.
Velickovic?
I call it Velickovic, but it's Velickovic, if you want to be correct.
Yeah, that's it. What background is
I'm from Montenegro.
Montenegro, beautiful.
Yes, we can still drink water from the mountains there. No, truly, we can.
Wow, that's beautiful.
That's a very pristine part of the world, and I think there's about 750,000 of us, so it's quite small.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Kornelija, thank you so much for joining me today. And before we get into it, we've got a mystic drop incantation I like to share with my first-time guests, and it goes like this: we are two cosmic spiritual beings sitting around the campfire, two drops of light from the Great Spirit. Truth is our path, and wisdom is our teacher. We start with a salute, and now. Beautiful. And now let our magic flow. All right, Kornelija. Again, thank you so much for being with us. You've got such an amazing story to share. And I'd like to firstly thank you for having the courage to speak out openly about this. I'm not sure, have you spoken about this before on any other show?
Oh, absolutely not.
So this
is not even to too many people.
Yeah.
It's just something that I carry with me. I've done a lot of research. Like, I mean, when it actually occurred, I think it took me about 2 weeks to really process. To sit down and say, hey, what did really happen? Like, something happened, but I wasn't quite sure. And I'm a curious person. I like to know my facts. So for me, it was a very mysterious experience. So, it took me a while to process. So, no, I haven't really spoken to too many people. Only people that are open or are willing to listen and I think would like to hear the story. Yeah.
I've been so excited to hear this and for you to share your story. So, thank you.
Well, I was quite sick. I was
just about to say, if you could take us back before the near-death experience and what led to that.
Yeah, so I was quite sick, and I had to actually look back at my little sheet that told me what medication I was given that did this to me. It was 2013, and I was suffering from Meniere's disease quite a lot, which is an inner ear issue. So you have vertigo and it's just terrible. And I was really sick. I've really never, I don't have a GP, I did kinesiology, I did all the other sorts of holistic practices, and I still do. But this day I took myself to the hospital. I was at my wit's end, and one thing that taught me is that people that are actually sick, the rational thinking just flies out the window, and you want something just to help you. And that day I took myself into the hospital, and I explained what my symptoms were, and I was hoping to possibly get a CAT scan, and just to make sure that, I didn't have any lesions on my brain or something just to find out what the problem was. But instead they administered some medication that I had an allergic reaction to. And, I get high off Panadol because I just don't consume any form of medication. And I took myself to the toilet and I wasn't feeling very well. And I hit the nurse's button and she came and they took me to the bed. And I just felt really heavy. I was very aware of my body feeling really heavy, and I thought, I really don't feel very well. and I lied on the bed. And I'm not quite sure how they knew what was happening, because I was in the emergency room and people flying in and out. And I started to feel my body lying on the bed. I could actually see myself on the bed, and all the nurses starting to crowd around me, and they were really vocal. Obviously, they didn't know what was happening, what's happening to her. I could hear all their voices, and I could hear how, what's the word I'm looking for? They were really perturbed by what was happening. I wasn't. I was looking at myself. So my awareness was there that something was going on, and that was my body. And I remember thinking, why are they behaving that way? Because I'm not feeling any pain. I feel great. Like, they should just go and have a cup of tea and relax, because I'm okay. And it was at that point that I went into a room. There was just an infinity of golden light, a very soft hue. So I didn't see a tunnel. There was no, aha moment, oh my God, I'm dead. I wasn't aware of that. I just went into a beautiful room full of golden light and golden beings. I knew that they're not human, but our perception of human, my conscious awareness at that particular point in time, knew that they were light beings and energies. And I felt so elated. I felt, it's really hard to articulate. And I kind of thought about, how can I explain this? But when we fall in love, we have this, it's a power. It's very powerful, because even the most dire moments in your life you can handle when you're in love. Everything seems amazing. And that's what this experience was. So it's our consciousness. It's, you take the thoughts with you, the being that you are, that voice that talks to you every day in your awareness when you're looking at something and you're talking to yourself. You're still that person or that consciousness, but in a very different realm, and you're aware of it. I felt so aware of the emotions I was feeling. They were incredible. The peace, the love, the relief from being in this dense energy on earth. And I was really, really aware of not having a body. Like, I was looking at myself, this light being, and going, it's so incredible not having a body. I didn't realise how constricting it was. So it's like having a tourniquet on your body, and then you take it off and you go, oh gosh, that was really a bit full on. It was incredible. And I don't know how long I stayed there for, but the emotion was really intense, and I felt like I'd come home. So for me, the most scariest part of dying was that I didn't think about my family, who I absolutely adore. I was really happy to stay there. I would have been so content to stay there. So the fear of death passed. I always thought I'd be scared of taking that last breath or feeling the pain of death. You don't feel the pain of death, but you feel the elation from it. It was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. And I say that in the sense that here on Mother Earth, there's a lot of pain. We have to process a lot of stuff, the emotions, the frustration, the anger. So we have a lot of low-level emotions that we have to deal with every day, and they're part of who we are, and we have to manage them. They didn't exist there. It was just the high vibration. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. Yeah.
What an incredible story. Wow.
Oh, and then I came back. So
yeah.
after they must have administered some sort of medication to bring me back. And I was surrounded by lots of nurses. But the doctor that was sitting next to me was like the most amazingly good-looking man, and he had like turquoise eyes. And so I woke up thinking, wow, where have I been? And wow, who are you? So I was more mesmerised by his eyes, thinking, this whole experience is amazing. But he kept on trying to tell me that you can't have this medication. It's really dangerous. You can die. You just died, and it's really dangerous. You need to make sure that. I couldn't process any of that. I just looked into this man's eyes and around at the nurses, and it's very surreal. Obviously, when you have pumped with so much medication, and God only knows. I mean, doctors don't always admit what they do. I was in a bit of a haze for a bit. So it was only, I think, after 2 weeks that I really looked at what happened. And then I looked into Anita Morjani. I Googled it. I went, near-death experience. Do you think I had one of those? And then having read what other people went through, I went, that's exactly what happened to me. Yeah. So I think wherever we go, it's a very peaceful place, and the emotions that we feel here on earth that are intense, like our low-level emotions, it's just the opposite when we leave. It's beautiful.
So like I've studied this a lot, and I'm absolutely fascinated by this subject.
Yeah.
So many people, have had this experience where the physical body dies, yet their soul consciousness continues.
Yes.
But then they're sent back to their body and to tell their story. Why do you think, if the process of dying is, what we think is the final step, why do you think they send us back to tell the message to humanity? After you've had time to think about it and experience it yourself.
Well, look, that's a really good question, and I don't think that I'm equipped enough to answer it. And I've often thought, where did I go? Because I think we had just a small chat about this before, that I also had a very similar experience in meditation quite a number of years ago, and it was a twin heart meditation. We focused on the crown and the heart chakra, and I really wasn't that into energetics and that side of who we are. It was more nutrition-based and food and so forth. And that experience there was very, very similar, although not as intense. So in that meditation, it was the first time I did that meditation. I also went into a golden room, but I looked like a Michelin man. You know, that tire man, the big fat round guy, and everyone else looked the same. So we tend to take on round shapes, and they were golden as well. And that peace was there, and that serenity and that love, that intense emotion. So it's a very good question that you ask, because firstly, I don't know where I went, but wherever I went, it was really intense. And I didn't die. I mean, I came back, I think, because it wasn't my time.
Right.
So obviously it was an accidental administration of something, or was it? I'm not sure. What did I learn from it? Is that love is the best power in the world, you know. And prior to 2000, prior to COVID happening, I used to see that symbol everywhere, in leaves, in the clouds. I'd tell my friends, I'd look at a rock or their necklace and I'd see a love heart. I think it's really all about love. It's about how intense that emotion is and how powerful it is. It's the one thing that can change everything. And I know that seems like a very simple concept, but it's real love, not just, oh, I love you, but it's that real love that we have inside us that we take with us when we go. Nothing else, not the house, not the car, not all those materialistic things, but that's it, that intense connection and love can really change so much in our environment. So, yeah, it made me more loving I was never very a materialistic person, even though I've got way more than I need, and I never want for anything. But, yeah, it's a good place we go to. But have I answered that question?
Yeah,
Not
no,
really.
that's a beautiful answer. Yeah. I was going to ask you, what did being on the other side, what was the meaning? What is the meaning of life for you now? And I think you've just answered it. It's love.
Yeah. I don't think it really changed my life as such. Some people come back and, they live a more intense life. I think I always did. Like, I'm very fearless in the way I live, and I'm fearless in the way I love, and I don't set boundaries for myself. That's why I do so much. I have a lot of interests and I'm good at all of them. I've never been one to set parameters for myself, but it let me let go of fear.
Right.
Yeah, I think when we live in this world, we have a lot of fear, whether we admit it or not. Whether it's fear of losing the house or fear of whatever your fear is, we all have a lot of fear. I really got rid of the fear. I started a business and I was fearless about it. I didn't know anything about what I was doing, but I did really well. And so that internal compass, that voice inside my head, we had just a better relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the people that say, this is all in your head, you were dreaming, it's not real. What would you like to say to those people after what you've gone through?
Look, I think everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and lots of us need proof, and I get that, because when I came out of what I experienced, there was a lot of questions. There is a lot of questions, because who do you talk to about this that can go, oh, yeah, I know that, I've been there, and they can't navigate you. So they have a right to feel the way they do, but they also have to understand that people like myself that have experienced this, we experience something, and that has to be acknowledged. It's real, and emotions are real, and what I felt was really intense. Like, that was a long time ago. It was almost 10 years ago now when I think about it. I can still feel that intense emotion. So if we look at people like Bruce Lipton and Dr. Joe Dispenza, and we look at how our thoughts and our emotions navigate our bodies and that energy, it all comes into the equation, yeah? So if we just interpret our being in a 2D format, that's all we'll understand. But there's a whole lot more out there. So what I would say to them is, look, you take what you like and leave the rest. But if you're curious, there is other things to learn. So, it's always a good thing to drop fear and to increase love. There's a lot to be gained from that. But there definitely is something. Exactly what it is, I'm not sure. Would I like to go back? Hell yes. But I've obviously got stuff to finish here, and I have a family, and I have to look after them for the time being. But when I get to rest my bones, so to speak, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We're going back to the actual experience. One of the things that absolutely gets my attention is the beings that you saw there, and you felt like they were like more than family.
Okay, so yes.
Well, it's looking back in hindsight, like, who were these beings to you think?
That's a great question. Science, and just I'll put this out there so we can kind of have an understanding, but, you know, thought's not contained in the brain, yeah? It's a vibration, and science has proved that. So we can telepathically, to a degree, communicate, yeah? So if you walk into a party and you get bad vibes from someone, it's not your imagination. It's an actual energy that's hitting your body, and you can feel it, yeah? You stay away from those people, and then you're drawn towards others. So for me, that's what happened, and it was just happy people, happy to see me. Who they were, I wasn't quite sure, but it was just happiness. I could telepathically communicate. So there was no words, it was all emotion. So it's just this intense emotion. You can feel the happiness. You see these orb-like energies, and they're slightly translucent, but not quite. And the golden hue went on to infinity, but there was no horizon. So it's really hard to explain. It was just maybe like swimming through water when you can't see the bottom. It's just really deep, yeah? But it's golden. And they were really happy. So I don't know who they were, but I was happy to see them. They were happy to see me. They understood why I was there. I understood why they were there. There was just this telepathic understanding of the next step. Wow. If that does that make any sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know, I've often wondered, you know, when we do pass, who's going to be there on the other side, and I think we have another family on the other side that is waiting for us, and I think you met your other family.
Yeah, look, it's intense. When I studied Anita Morjani, her near-death experience was a little bit more intense. She actually met past family members, but she had passed away for a long time. I don't think I got to that point where I'd passed away for long enough to journey in that space and navigate it. So when I came in, I was so intensely aware of not having a body, really happy. I went, oh, wow, this is so liberating. It feels fantastic. So it was more about me getting to know my physical sensations and navigating the environment, and then looking around and feeling that intense emotion, looking at all the other beings that was really happy and loving where they were. So personally, I don't think I hung around long enough. But had I, that would be a very interesting conversation we'd be having now. I think yes, because judging from how I interfaced with what was there, there was a lot of acknowledgement on an energetic level. Yeah. But just I couldn't say, well, that was my auntie or my great grandmother, but they were happy to see me. Yeah.
And going back to when you woke up, you said that there was this, you know, blue-eyed doctor that was there.
Yeah. Oh my God, he was so handsome. I was like
turquoise. I think you said turquoise eyes.
Yes, turquoise eyes.
And I think when we first spoke on the phone, you said that he was there comforting you, and you didn't see him again.
No.
He just disappeared.
Yeah.
And did the doctors and the nurses, did you ask them who was that doctor?
No. I wasn't aware of what had happened. I was obviously heavily medicated. That's why I passed away. And then obviously heavily medicated again to bring me back. And like I said, because I don't take any form of medication, and I don't drink, I don't smoke. So I had one beer and I'm like, ooh, anything gets me high. So I must have been really, I felt drowsy, but yeah, no, I didn't ask, but all I just remember was this absolutely amazingly looking man. And those eyes, I just can't forget those eyes. They were really like the Maldives, so turquoise, incredible.
Because I've heard stories where people have had these near-death experiences, and they're instantly greeted by somebody, and they feel like they're otherworldly, you know?
Oh, okay.
to guide them back into the body. So I wonder if you met an angel, or, you know, someone
I'm not sure
that manifested.
I'm not sure. And you know, that's quite a possibility. And looking back now, he was very gentle. Some doctors can have a pretty bad bedside manner, but he was quite concerned and very gentle. So that's probably highly likely. Yeah.
When do you think, in your opinion, I know there are some that are starting to investigate all this, in mainstream science, even in the media and all this. Why do you think there's been such avoidance of this subject in the mainstream?
Well, because we have to look at the totality, get tongue twisted, the totality of who we are.
Yeah.
We have to go past the physical.
Yeah.
And like I said, thought's not contained in the mind, it's a vibration. And then if we actually explore even just that concept, we go down rabbit holes where we have to really look at who we are. And, do we look at where do the emotions come from? Where do they live? We have to actually explore who we are as human beings and maybe look at parts of who we are that might make certain people feel uncomfortable. When we talk about an energy body, or if we talk about our chakras, or, people that look at kinesiology. And, if you look at acupuncture, it's all about the electricity in the body. So it makes sense to avoid that, because we really have to then look at so many other facets of our lives. And the way we live here is very in the physical. We buy things, we consume things, we watch things, we're entertained by life. And to sit in meditation and to sit in contemplation and to really, look into areas that might make you feel uncomfortable, it's not what a lot of people do. I love Bruce Lipton. He's fantastic. He got fired from 2 universities because he just went a bit too woo-woo. But he made a lot of discoveries as well that made people feel uncomfortable. So I think people feel uncomfortable because it's easier to sit in what we know than to, push boundaries and to really look for the truth of things.
And going back to, you said you do kinesiology. So in terms of the healing arts, having had that experience, has that enhanced your ability to heal, do you think?
No, it was already there.
It was already there.
No. I think it, like I said, for me, what it taught me is to be fearless and to love more. And like I said, I have a natural curiosity towards, and I've always had an affinity with nature. So when I started to explore the Findhorn community, which I'm not quite sure if your viewers know anything about, but worth an explore, they were a little community. It's a massive community now, but back in the 60s and the early 70s, they worked with nature spirits, and they grew roses in the snow. And in 1975, I think it was, they made the paper because they talked energetically to the plants. But now we have fantastic fungi that's come out, and they talk about mycelium and how they talk. And we've had a few, a beautiful book I read, and I never can remember, by a German, anyway, but what was the question? I'm so sorry.
I was just saying how it's impacted your healing arts.
It hasn't. No, it's actually taught me other things. I think for me, we are such intense beings, and we don't even realize it. We don't realize how much power we actually have once we drop the fear and we step into love.
Yeah.
And we approach situations with love, without judgment, without wanting an outcome, but just loving each other. Yeah. So if we come from that perspective, that intense energy, because it is an energy, can move mountains, and people feel it. And once we feel that love for each other, unconditionally, we can make massive changes. And it's those small things that are actually a lot of work. A lot of people probably might struggle with unconditional love, you know.
It's a high vibration, you know, and to maintain that on this plane, on this world, takes a lot of energy, you know, especially with all the darkness going on.
Yeah, there is. Look, you know, I tend to go in and out with what's happening in the world. I think I see the fear and I don't find it productive. I find the love productive. I have a big garden. I've got about 18 fruit trees. Used to have chickens, don't anymore. My plants, that's real. Family, I love helping people. I'll go to the supermarket and connect and talk and, you know, help the old lady because it makes her day. And then she goes home and she spreads that love. And, you know, I'd rather do that than think about the pain that's out there. So I know it's there and I do tap in because I think it's good to be informed, but I'd rather be here spreading love in my community.
Yeah.
I think I'm far more productive that way.
To base it all on the fear.
Yeah. It can be very debilitating. And we all have the dark night of the soul where we go, wow, this world just has a lot that needs cleaning up. And it can be overwhelming because it's really out of our control. But what we can control is our own lives and who we are and how we interact with each other, you know. So I can feel your love now. Like I can feel it, even though we're far apart. So in the quantum field,
it's all energy.
100%.
There's no space there.
No, not in the quantum field. And that's why people can do distant healing, you know. There is no time, there is no space. And that's a concept that's a little bit difficult for some people to grasp. And, you know, that's maybe something they can read about is quantum physics because, you know, science isn't separate. Nothing's separate. Everything is functioning at the same time. So when you look at chemistry and you look at physics, it's a different approach in science to the same subject matter. Where if we're in the quantum field, we understand it in its totality. Get stuck on that word. In its totality.
I love this philosophy, and I've been reading a lot of just, you know, I've always followed him, but I'm starting to get into his books. Neil Donald Walsh.
Okay.
And his writings and, you know, his perspective of what God is, because
that's a good question. Now.
You know, like I was born, you know, raised in the religion, you know, Catholic religion, and you know, I've stepped away from that and got into more of a spiritual path and philosophies as well. So, and my whole perspective of God is completely different from when I was a kid. So having a vision of the other side and experiencing it yourself, what is God to you?
Well, that never changed even after that experience. So I've always had a very strong affiliation. I went to a Catholic school when I was a kid, and I didn't quite understand that a lot of the philosophies that were taught there, only because I was a curious kid and asked too many questions and always got sent to the naughty corner. So the concept of have faith, why? Why should I have faith? Because you just have to. So the curiosity was there. So the experience itself didn't hinder or aid my belief in God, because it's very, very strong. It always has been. And I find it very difficult to pinpoint that, because yes, I do. I go to church. I go to an Orthodox church, and for me, I don't get involved in the religion of it. They sing a lot, and I love that vibration of the singing. It's very, very soothing. I love lighting the candle and saying a prayer. So I love the ritual of it. I don't get involved in the politics and who said what and what the priests say, and I probably don't follow. But I like having a sacred place to pray, and I do love to pray. And that's why I used to always love going to Greece. They've got tiny little churches. You can just go in and give thanks for the water that's out there and the fish, and, you know, have some sort of ritual. He's just inside and I talk to him. So it's really hard to, that's a really good question too, because we have a creator and, you know, there's something there. I can feel it. Yes. And I feel I'm guided by it. I feel that nothing can break that connection. You know, and some people can go to church and not talk about God, and others can not go to church and talk about God. I do both. And it's just a deep knowing inside me, you know, and even when I'm out in nature and I can talk to the trees, it's just this connection with everything that is. And it's an understanding that I'm no better than anybody else. Everything's connected. We are beautiful, loving beings. And if we want to have a journey that's deep, we can do that. You know, we can have a shallow one, drive the Ferraris, have the girls and, you know, drink and do drugs. But if you want something deeper, it's really satisfying and it's an unbreakable bond. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%. Do you feel like, I feel that looking at your experience, when you were on the other side, the energy of love that you felt, that was like, you can't even describe it. Do you think that was God for you?
No.
So it's beyond that.
I think that's who we are. Yes, right. It is beyond that. I think that is us understanding the power that we have. We don't access our power here on this plane. We really don't. We haven't been taught how to do that.
I think it's been switched off for some reason. Yeah. By some force, I don't know what it is, but it's some force or something in our ancient past that it's been deactivated. That's what I believe.
Yeah. So to answer that, no, because I think the consciousness was there. Right. The dialogue with, pardon me, my dialogue with myself, like I'm having with you, was there.
Right.
So no. So it would have been nice to stay a bit longer and meet him, or have an understanding of what that power is. But no, what I brought home was really my power. Right. And who I was. There was more of an understanding of that. Mm.
Interesting. Wow.
But no, not God. That's a biggie.
I almost feel like the near-death experience is just like a little taste test, you know, just a little teaser to show us what, you know, what's on the other side, and to get a little bit of feel of home, you know. But yeah. once we do, you know, graduate, I like to say that, graduate from this school, then we get the whole shebang.
Yeah.
Is that how you felt?
Look, to a degree, yeah. And I suppose I keep coming back to that point where once we understand our power and we drop the fear, it's a different ball game here on this plane. Yeah. Drop the fear, increase the love, and watch your world change. And that's a big lesson. I mean, it's not a very easy thing to do. But yeah.
Would you say that's one of the biggest mystical experiences you've had in your life? Have you had any others?
Apart from the meditation, I had some beautiful experiences when I spent some time with the elder from Uluru. So he was the custodian of Uluru,
Right.
and I spent about a week with him in 2010 actually. Just had a real urge to go up north and spent time with him, and we were at a watering hole. I couldn't stop crying.
Wow.
I actually felt embarrassed. I actually was heaving like a child, and I approached him and I said, look, I'm really sorry, I don't know what's happening to me. And he said, look, at this particular watering hole, they poisoned the water for a very long time and killed lots of our children. And he goes, you were just feeling the grandmothers. And I go, I can feel their pain. So that sort of stuff happened to me quite a lot there. It was a beautiful place, but very painful place. They felt a lot of pain there. So I've had a few experiences like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always love to end on hope, because I feel it's a very, very powerful energy. So what, after everything that you've gone through there, that experience that you treasure to this day, what messages of hope would you like to share with humanity?
I hope I can adequately answer that. That we are beings of love, and that power can really overcome so much. So people that are going through grief in their families, difficult times, if they can just go in and find that love for themselves, for their family members and their community, and really look for that, I think that can give you hope. Yeah. We're loving beings. We really are. You know, a free hug. I mean, you see someone that says free hug, you give them a hug, it feels great. That's just an exchange of love. I think it's the ultimate power. It really is. And we need to share it more without judging each other, without wanting things from each other. You know, love thy neighbour, do no harm.
Yeah.
You know, great philosophy to live by. Yeah, just accept and love each other.
Oh, beautiful message, and you're a real beautiful soul, and
thank you.
I'm just real honoured to have you on and for you to share your story with me, and to
thank you for the opportunity.
It's amazing, and again, I'm totally inspired by these stories. So you're actually the first person that I've spoken to in life that has had this experience. So I'm very grateful for that.
Oh, thank you very much.
Where can people go and follow you and support? I know I follow you on Instagram. You're a bit of an artist as well. Where can people go and follow you and support your work?
Oh, on Instagram.
And even ask other questions that I maybe missed.
Yeah, probably best on Instagram under Kornelija Velickovic.
Yep.
Look, I'm happy if anyone wants to reach out, and for whatever reason, I think as human beings we need to help each other and support each other. And if my journey, which for me was just a personal thing that happened to me, but if that can help somebody else, then I'm more than happy.
This just came to me now. How have your family and friends reacted to this?
I haven't really shared it, to tell you the truth.
Oh, okay.
I've probably shared it with about 2 or 3 people.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't really shared it. It's been an internal thing, and it's not because, I haven't really shared it.
So will this be, if they do see this will be the first time that they actually...
Absolutely, 100%.
Wow. That is, what an amazing...
I tend to internalize a lot of things, Like I said, I like being behind the camera, not in front. So all the family photos is of everybody and not me. There's probably a handful of photos of me in the family because I'm behind the camera.
Well, please keep me up to date with their reactions if they do listen to this. And
sure, 100%.
I hope it does fill their hearts with hope and love and light. And I think that one of the biggest messages as well is just listening to these stories is not to be afraid of death. death is only the beginning.
Look, it really is. And like we said before, one of the scariest things for me in dying was not wanting to come back. Like I came back and went, oh my God, I loved being there. I really did. There's nothing scary whatsoever. So we need to really live while we're here, like really, really live.
Yeah.
And drop that fear and connect with each other and love each other and, you know, just turn off the TV. It's probably the best thing you can do.
Or tune it to the right sort of, you know, information and frequency and get away from the mainstream. I think that's the key as well.
Well, I didn't have a television until I was about 10. And then during my university years, I just didn't even have one.
Yeah.
And I come from a culture where we sing a lot. So we play instruments and tell stories.
Yep.
So as a child, we used to gather around and, you know, one of the uncles would pick up an instrument and just tell a story through song. And, so turn your TVs off, folks, and connect.
Go back to those ancient ways, huh?
100%. Yeah, definitely. Go light a fire in your backyard and have a chat. It's amazing what can come out of a simple gesture like that, you know, lovely stories. And it's good for children to hear those things, you know, off the devices, looking at a fire, listening to stories. They don't hear stories as much anymore.
No. And that's why I love, you know, the ancient cultures like the Native Americans, the Aborigines, you know, they did all that. I think we need to get back to that, as you said. We need to get back to the fire and the land and have those oral traditions again. Not just looking at the phone and the television.
Yeah. And being told what to think rather than feel.
Exactly, feel it.
You know?
Yeah.
You don't really react. Like you don't get in tune with your body. You know, we have two brains. We have a gut, we have a brain, and they talk to each other. And a lot of people, you know, some people are thirsty and they eat, or they're hungry and they drink water because they're not in touch with themselves. You know, we really need to get back to a very basic form of living, and in that basic form of living, we actually open up a whole big complicated universe that is ourselves.
I think that's a conversation for another time, I think, with you.
I think so.
we can go into the conspiracy of it and the philosophies and all that. But Kornelija, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Sharing your light, your soul. Thank you so much, Kornelija.
Thank you.
Blessings. I'm Roberto Roya from the Mystic Drop, and you've been listening to Kornelija. Thank you, Kornelija.
Thank you.